I have nothing funny to say before we start the video. Hello, welcome along to another vlog. My name is Zach, aka Crochet Me ZV-E10, and I will be your host, your guide, your crochet artist friend, your good me artist friend, your plushie designer friend, and your yarn business owner friend. Are we ready to have fun? Yay! If you are new here to the vlog, my name is Zach, aka Crochet Me ZV-E10, and all those titles I just gave for me before is what I do. We have fun here on the vlog. We do crochet things, have a good time doing it, and just enjoy the fun of crochet and yarn arts generally. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back to check in on little old me. I'm doing well, I'm doing okay. This week we are going to be super productive and we're going to get lots of things done. So buckle in for a fun, productive vlog. Yeah! So normally on the vlogs we do like a lot of pattern designing, a lot of just plushie making and just talking about plushies and things in general like that. But this week we are sorting out our yarns. I have a lot of yarn in my stash and I'm just not making my way through it. I have a few whips in my stash that I just have not returned to in a while. I need to refresh my shelves. So you can see over there, if I wiggle out of the way, these are my yarn shelves that I need to tidy up. I've kind of got them in like a little bit of an order, but a lot of these yarns here, like these ones down here, like the cotton, or even my hand-dyed yarns, they all need to be like wound up into cakes and things. And then I've just got actually 2 bags of yarn. Actually, I'll go grab them now. I have got 2 giant bags full of plush yarn that I just do not use anymore. Since releasing my own line of yarn at ZV Crafts, I just don't use this yarn anymore. I don't use the Honey Bunny from Hobie. I don't use the Parfait Chunky from Premiere. It's just, I prefer my yarn now, and it's probably a very biased thing, but I also think the quality is just a little bit better, and so I just have all this yarn that I have accumulated over the past few years, and I just need to get rid of it. So I think I'm going to be digging through these bags. I'm going to be finding all the full skeins of yarn, all the scrap yarn skeins, and then just kind of sorting them out and then putting them up online for sale. Because what else am I going to do with it? I would rather just go to someone else's home who's willing to use it. So we're gonna be doing that this week. So you guys get to join me on the adventure of listing those yarns, tidying up the yarns behind me, and also sorting through some old whips and deciding whether I frog or finish them at some point. There's no real like organization of how I'm doing this vlog. I'm just kind of picking and choosing which tasks I feel like I have the right amount of time for, and then we're just gonna get into them. We also have a few other little things that we'll be doing throughout the week, like releasing some patterns, like this itty bitty axolotl that is going to be released in 2 days time, or the robot and the alien, which is also being released in 2 days time. So we've got some other admin things that we need to do, but that's just gonna be sprinkled along the rest of the vlog of tidying the yarn shelves and the yarn stash and destashing. Let's get straight into it. Hello, welcome to a new angle. This is my yarn shelf angle, and we're gonna be sorting through these yarns. The ones up here, these 2 shelf units up here, we're probably not going to touch. This is my ZV Crafts yarn stash. I pretty much just have one of every color. I don't think I need to tidy up that shelf that much. There's not really much to go through. And like with a lot of plush yarns, I just don't want to wind them up. I think this yarn would be fine for winding, but other yarns like Premiere Parfait Chunky or Honey Bunny or other chenille yarns seem to be a lot more fragile. And if you wind them up, you have the risk of actually damaging the fibers, and it makes it a lot more prone to crumbling and being damaged before you even use the yarn. So that's why I personally do not cake any chenille yarn, although I feel like I could cake this yarn and it should be fine because it is just a little bit more durable. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. The point is I'm not touching these shelves. I think they're fine as is and they're relatively tidy, apart from this little dangling bit of string there. There we go. So the other yarns that we are going to be tackling is probably my wool yarns and my cotton yarns. And I think I'm just gonna do them in batches. First up, we're gonna go through all our cotton yarns, see what there is, and then just go ham into winding them all. That is this shelf here, and this random shelf of like half-finished bucket hats. Let's show them off before I even get into the other yarns. So these little bucket hats here, I don't really think I finished many of them. These are all made with, I think it's a Lily sugar and cream yarn, and like, I mean, they're cute. I just don't wear them, and I don't think I will ever wear them. And I think that's the problem. Like, why would I make all these bucket hats if I'm not gonna wear them? So I think it's better that I just frog them all. This one, I'm pretty sure, yeah, is Lily Sugar and Cream. I think all 3 of them are. I cannot remember the brand names at all. I'm assuming it's Lily Sugar and Cream. Isn't there like another name to these? These 3 hats are gonna be frogged, turned into little balls of yarn, and then added back into the stash. Then we have my other shelf of just like random cottons that I've just accumulated over the year. Like I do have some more Lily Sugar and Cream that was used as the center of this hat here. This bucket hat here was actually a part of my first trip to the US where I was there for 4th of July and we had a little cabin stay with everyone. Hello to everyone who has been following along since that little journey. That was where I first met people like Passionate Kelsey, Mrs. Moon Heaven, Made in the Moment, and yeah, I wanted to make something that was like 4th of July-esque, and so that's why we have this fun little hat here, which as I was making it, I decided I did not like the look of it, and my friend Edelmel's Crochet became obsessed with it, and so she was wearing it all the time for all these photos and things. But like, I think if I'm not ever gonna wear this hat again, I think it's safe to say that that's had its moment and we can just frog it and use this yarn for something else some other time. And then these two hats here actually just ran out of yarn, so we're just gonna frog them because they're just like a little bit too short on the brim. Feels so silly on me with this with just a tiny bit more needed. It just ran out, so we are going to frog it. Oh my god, it's already ready to frog. There's no fun stories attached to those two hats either, so that's okay. Sometimes I'm a bit more sentimental about a project or something like that, but I think with these ones here, no one's been chasing after me for these ones, so we're fine to just frog them and repurpose them. Anyway, that besides the point. So we're just gonna jump through these yarns here. This one's already caked, but I might just re-cake things into the same cake shape. That makes sense to me if everything was in the right cake shape rather than what it is here. But these ones are the Line Brand Funfetti yarns that I have used for various mesh tanks, bucket hats, market bags. These ones work out really well for a market bag. I think I'd just like to re-tidy up these ones. I've got this Crafter's Secret Cotton, which was actually gifted to me from Passionate Kelsey. It's a really, really pretty cotton yarn. It's just like a fun little rainbow sprinkle type of cotton. I would love to reuse this for probably a market bag. That's all I've got on my mind right now, but I would love to reuse this sometime. I just need to tidy it up into a proper cake shape. This blue yarn here was actually used for a collaboration with Club Crochet. That is their specific yarn that they use for their crochet kits, which I'm actually about to go gift away to Will this evening. So this is sorted. Easy. I got a bunch of TL Yarn Crafts Happy Place yarn. I have not found a moment to properly use this yarn. It is a really, really soft yarn. I think it is part wool, part cotton. Yeah, 50-50 cotton and wool. When Tony was releasing this yarn line with Hobie, she sent me like a gift bag full of different samples of the yarn. So I've got like a lot of browns, yellows, and pinks, which to be honest, I don't think is the best combination. Like, I don't think it suits me. Like, these aren't my colors, so I'm not really too sure what I'm gonna be doing with this yarn, but I think I will re-cake some of these balls. And I have got so many of it. I think I started a shirt with the yarn. Yeah, I did. So I'm just gonna frog this. This is not being saved. I'm like, maybe I can make like a star blanket or something. I don't know. I don't think so. We'll keep thinking on it. But this yarn is super soft, so I would love to have a project that I do use it for at some point in time. Next up, we have all my Hobie yarns. I've got a bag of the Friends Cotton 8/8, which is a size 3 lightweight yarn. It's a 100% cotton from Hobie. I use this yarn for a lot of just like embroidery stitches on my plushies and things, like if I'm making mouths and whatnot. I would love to just like re-cake all this yarn because as soon as it's in this kind of shape, it just crumbles and tangles all in together with all the other Hobie yarns. I would like to just re-cake it. And I also would think it'd be a good idea if I caked it and like tied a knot in between and then just turned them into like bigger cakes of cotton yarn. Just because like a bunch of these tiny little ones here is so annoying to have in the shelf. They just get everywhere. I just need bigger cakes. And then last but not least, this is a giant bag of Friends Cotton. A few other little snippets of other yarns that I got from Spotlight, which is a store here in Australia, but the majority of it is all just the Friends Cotton as well. A bunch of different colors. This is all crumbled, tangled together, so I just want to go through and cake them into some larger cakes too, and then we can go from there. So let's get started. Hey, look at that. Ah, great. What a lovely cake. What a lovely cake this is. Beautiful, beautiful. I was about to undo this one as well, but I think because this has seen a lot of rivers and things in the US, I might actually just like wash this one and dry it out before I just wind it up into a ball of yarn, so it makes it a bit nicer, you know? Yeah, let's do that. I'll come back to that one later. I'll do these yarns first. Yeah! We did it! So we just finished caking all that yarn, and right now we are up to, oh, hi buddy. Nice. Anyway, so we just finished caking up all that yarn. We are at eight cakes? We are at 8 cakes of yarn. I've started keeping a tally here of how many balls we've wound, how many cakes have been made, and how many projects have been frogged. The totals we're at now is 8 cakes are made, 6 balls have been wound, and then 2 projects have been frogged. By the end of this video, we're gonna have some stats on those 3 categories: cakes made, balls wound, and projects frogged. I wanna see if you guys guess correctly. So take a moment right now, guess how many cakes total I will make by the end of this video with all my yarn provided, how many times are gonna be wound into one cake, how many balls or just like loose half finished skeins are gonna be wound into a cake, and then how many projects will I frog. Put your guesses below and we'll see at the end of this video. But for now, I am going to head over on to Will's house, our favorite guest in these vlogs, and we're gonna go watch the 3rd episode of The White Lotus. If there is any White Lotus fans, let me know in the comments below what you think of the season so far. I think it's a pretty slow start. It's interesting though. I'm still intrigued. It's a bit weird in some areas and it's interesting in others. So we're holding tight. I think it's ramping up to something, so fingers crossed it's a good episode. And also Will and I are gonna battle some Pokemon cards because we're really going for that hobby as well. So see you soon.
The magic of Pokemon!
Wow! Hello, I'm back from playing Pokemon with Will. It was lots of fun. The White Lotus episode, it was okay. I feel like this whole season is quite slow and I don't know. I haven't really got an opinion on it. I have my theories about who is part of the main storyline, if you know what I mean. People who watch know what I'm talking about. But we're just gonna wait and see if it plays out. But it feels like I'm playing a really long waiting game because it is a slow build up. Anyway, more importantly, I'm gonna try put together these 2 skeins, balls of Friends Cotton 8/8 from Hobie, and see if I can do 2 of these combined to make 1 cake, and if that's like the right sizing for a cake. Yeah. I think it's too noisy. But I really wanted to do this right now. Okay, I found a solution. It is just attaching it to this little side table we have out here in the lounge. So I'm gonna sit out here for about an hour or so, watching some old episodes of Survivor and slowly going through this giant bag of cotton yarns. Yay! Good morning. We're back in the studio now and I'm just gonna finish winding up the last of these cotton yarns here. There isn't much more to go. It should take me like half an hour, I hope. And then we can continue on with some other bits and bobs of the yarn destash episode. Yay! Yay, yarn! Ta-da! I have now wound up every single ball of yarn that was in that bag from yesterday. I decided not to wind up the yarn from TL Yarn Crafts because it's just, I think it's fine as is. It just seemed like it would be unnecessary to rewind it into a cake. So I'll just stack it up on my shelf just like this. Although there is that like half finished, not half finished, barely even started project in there, so I'll just undo that and just like wind it back into the ball. But those ones I won't touch. The rest of the cotton is done, and so I can put that back on the shelf. So it's part 1 of my yarns. I still need to wind the wool yarns, undo some projects, and then sort through the giant bags of chenille. So let's get cracking. Ta-da! As I was saying before, I've got 2 of these large bags here. They're both full to the brim with chenille yarns, but they're only sorted by color. And the way I want to sort them out now is by whether it is a full ball of chenille or a half ball. I'm thinking that I'll be able to sell the full balls for like $5 each. So I'm just gonna sort through them all, see what I've got left, and then leave the remaining half used skeins or partially used skeins all in the bag, and then figure out a use for those. So let's get into it. Some of the skeins I say are partially used, but they're just straight up, this one I don't even think has been used. It's a pretty full ball, so I might leave them in like another pile somewhere, just because I'm not too sure what to do with like a pretty much full one. If it's like 200 grams, then I probably just put it in with the full balls. But I'll put them to the side for now and decide on that later. Zoom, 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 zoom. Okay, I'm gonna need to figure out a different plan for this, because right now this is 2/3 of the bag and I have a whole other bag and yeah, the last little part in there still. So let's figure this out. What I'm thinking of doing is just separating it all into different groups. I think I'm gonna get all these little tiny yarn scraps and just put them in some bags, just so they're away from these more full balls, and then categorize them somewhere on a spreadsheet. I think that's the best way to go about it. This is very overwhelming. So I just finished putting all these scrap yarns in a big Coles bag here. So these are all like the, maybe like 3/4 and below sized skeins and everything like that, and everything else that seems to look to be about 3/4 or above left of the skein, I'm gonna sell. I think everything there I'm gonna sell for $5 each, and then maybe these bags, honestly, I might just give them away. I just don't need this yarn here, and I'd rather not spend all my time trying to sell all these individual balls, so yeah. One bag packed away, yay! Time for another. I actually cannot believe how much yarn I am just getting rid of right now. These 3 bags here in the back, I'm also just gifting away for free for anyone who wants to come pick them up. And then the rest of this is all gonna be posted online. There's so many colors. Some of these yarns here I've had for like 3 years and I just have not touched. So it's better if they go to a new home. So we finally finished counting all the yarn. We ended up with 140 individual skeins. So I'm gonna be figuring out how to list all of those and how to keep an inventory of all of those this evening. In addition to those, I've actually got these bags here. So if people aren't familiar with these bags, in Australia and I think in New Zealand, we have things called mill ends bags. And essentially it's like a giant tub within our local craft store called Spotlight, and you can just go to these bins and they just have these like goodie bags which just have unlabeled yarns. And for the longest time that was our only way of getting chenille yarns. I have about 13 of these bags that I just have not used. I was going through all these tubs just trying to find whatever chenille yarns I could, found all of these and then just never used them. So I'm also going to be adding those to the inventory or the stock that is going to be destashed from my room, my studio. But I am gonna go run away, cook dinner and everything like that, and just settle in for a nice evening. I also recently bought myself an iPad, so I can jump on here and I can go through all the photos of the yarn here. And I'm gonna go through here and just make some color corrections, or like some slight color corrections. I'm not gonna get right into it, just because sometimes when I'm taking photos on things like with a brown wood background, it sometimes adjusts like the warmth of the photo and really like suddenly puts everything into cool tones or really ramps them up into even warmer tones. And so I just want to make sure that people are kind of getting the gist of what the actual color would be. I'm going to work on that as well as finalize all my patterns that are being released tomorrow. So it's a pretty jam-packed week of just like getting through things. That's what we do here in the Crochet Me ZV studio. We work hard and play hard, because also tomorrow I'm going to go out for dinner and board games with my friends. Yay! Anyway, I'm going to go work and eat and play. Good morning, or should I say good afternoon, because I actually just spent the morning releasing 3 patterns. I just released the itty bitty axolotl, ooh, ooh, robot buddy, Yay! And last but not least, the little alien buddy. My Patreon has now received all the codes to download all 3 patterns, depending on what tier levels you're in and everything like that. And now I can spend the afternoon doing some more admin-y kind of stuff. I feel like I am not crocheting in this vlog at all. I'm literally releasing patterns and tidying up my whole yarn shelf. So I need to get back into that. Although I have actually booked out time this afternoon to not do either of those things, I decided that I needed to film a video to release this week because this vlog that we're in right now will be probably coming out the week after. I put a poll out on like the community posts on YouTube yesterday asking which itty bitty people would like for me to film as a tutorial as a free pattern, and I think they voted for the itty bitty bunny. Actually, let's look. Yeah, they voted for the itty bitty bunny. I actually put out 4 different patterns there. I put out the bunny, the itty bitty pickle, the itty bitty turnip, and the itty bitty chili. And then second place was the itty bitty turnip with the pickle and the chili a little bit further behind, but that's okay. So I'm thinking I want to get this tripod set up again, and then I will film the tutorial for the itty bitty bunny. Maybe if I have some time, I might continue on and film a tutorial for the itty bitty turnip as well, because why not? And then I could just like save the footage for a little bit later on and have that ready as like another video to go. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do that a little bit later, and then I also need to go pack some orders, and then I also need to go for a little house viewing because I'm looking at moving, which is actually partly why I have been trying to destash all my yarn. I'm looking at trying to find a new apartment just for myself. I just need a little bit more space just because I'm living in my like crochet studio. My businesses have taken off. This needs to expand. This needs its own space. Right now there is a bed in the corner, and it's more or less that I am in like a crochet studio with a bed in the corner of it, rather than having like a crochet workspace in my bedroom. It is like fully taking over. So I need to go for a little viewing for a house there, and then I've got a birthday this evening. So I'm really like strapped for time for actually sorting out my yarns, but you know, many things going on at once, got to prioritize some things and then come back to others. So we'll probably get into more yarn organizing tomorrow, but priorities now is to film a tutorial so I have content to go out this week. Yay, but first let's go eat. Let's eat, yay! Hello, so it's actually been a couple of days since I last checked in with you all, and that is not my fault. That is the fault of the camera. This little camera that you're watching me on going to slow-mo for all the previous vlogging and work that I was doing over the past 2 days. I made a whole tutorial showing off this itty bitty bunny, this little cutie here. Hello. Oh. There we go, hello. I spent like an hour and a bit filming it, getting all prepped, blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards I did all these vlogs talking about it, and it was all in slow-mo, so I can't use the footage. I could speed it up, but there's no sound, and then I kind of have to do like a voiceover, but then I'm kind of just guessing what I'm saying at certain parts of the tutorial, and it's just, it would take much longer to do that than it would just to like redo the tutorial. So for this week, there's no video going on my YouTube, which is a little bit disappointing, but I just decided that I'll just take the time to relax and give myself a break. So I'll do a video next week, being this video. Anyway, as I was just saying, I also went through my yarns and categorized them and sorted out quite a bit of them. I've actually already given some away. There was 3 bags of yarn scraps, which I've now gifted away to someone in the Melbourne crochet knitting cruise that I'm in online. I just put a post out saying anyone want these bags, and someone turned up to take them, so thank you. Then also some close friends have bought a few skeins off me already. Also, another person who works for some of the libraries around Melbourne reached out to me asking if they could buy a bunch of skeins of yarn for their courses that they teach. They teach crochet courses to some lower socioeconomic areas around Melbourne, and so they were wondering if they could get some yarns to use as supplies for their classes. So I cut them a deal, and I'm giving them a good chunk of the yarn stash for a very, very low price, just because it's going to a good cause, you know? And then a friend in New Zealand's also taking a giant chunk. So I'm not really left with much left that I would be kind of advertising out to the wider community. So what I'm thinking is I'm just gonna spend some time sorting out those 2 larger orders, I guess is what you'd call them. And with whatever's left over, I'm pretty sure I could just put in one bundle and put it up on Facebook Marketplace, and then it'll all be gone, it'll all be done with, and it would have been like, what, 5 small transactions, which is so much more beneficial to me than trying to do itty bitty transactions. So I'm gonna pack all those now, and then we'll come back and start winding some more yarn. I think we're gonna jump into the woolens and start winding all those and check through some of the whips that I've got. Yeah. So I just finished packing all the yarns. So these are 2 separate orders. One half is going out to the libraries and the other half is going over to a friend in New Zealand. And then I'm just gonna take a picture of the rest of the yarn, put it up on Marketplace, and hopefully somebody just comes and picks it up, and then problem solved. Just finished getting all the yarns all sorted out. In total, we had 53 skeins of yarn, which is a great amount just to end on there. I'm going to, well, actually I've already written it all up. I've got a group here on Facebook, which is called Australia Yarn Destash. So I'm gonna post it over on that group there, and hopefully people are interested. Fingers crossed that someone wants to just buy the entire lot and just take it off my hands, because that would be so easy. And then I think I'm also just gonna post it over on my Instagram just in case anyone is also interested. So yay. Hello, I'm back. I disappeared for like 3 hours. I thought I was just gonna like head off for a moment, come back and start winding yarn, but I decided to go on like a 2-hour walk, and then I wandered around IKEA and looked at all the furniture for some reason. I don't know, I just kind of do what I feel. Anyway, I'm back now and we are going through a very, very exciting bag. We're going through my bag of whips. So we're gonna go through a lot of these half-finished projects and then decide whether I want to just undo them and then re-cake the yarn into a ball for a later project, or just put the project to the side and continue on with it later. So let's just get into it. First up, I have this lovely half-finished vest, which is this little cutie here. So this is a knit vest. A lot of these projects in here are knit, if not all knit. This vest here is a project that I started while on my crochet retreat last year with all the gang from the crochet crew. Very, very funny that we all started making knit projects while we're on a crochet retreat, but that's besides the point. This project here was the first time that I ever actually used a smaller weight yarn for any knitted project. Normally I'm using like a chunky yarn. This was like a new challenge for me. The yarn I used for this project is from Arcane Fiberworks. It is a worsted weight yarn, I believe, and the colorway is called Thistle Cheer You Up. Ha ha ha. And it's so pretty. I love these colors, these purples and these greens. It's just so lovely. But the project itself, whether I would frog it or keep it for later, I'm actually not too sure. I think I might frog it to a certain area. What I've learned, and although I believe that clothing has no gender, what I've learned is that traditionally men's fashion and women's fashion in regards to vests have different placements of the sleeve holes. And the thing is whenever I'm following any pattern out there, they have all told me to put the sleeve hole in a certain place, and I've just blindly followed along. And then a lot of people have actually told me, hey, isn't that a woman's vest? And I'm like, what? And apparently the sleeve holes for women start like way lower than men's ones. So men's ones will start up here, just literally under the armpit, and women's vest holes like go all the way down. And I don't know if that's to like account for like more of a bust or something like that. It ends up just like affecting all my projects because I forget that, because I'm not like a clothing maker or anything like that. Like this is just something I do on the side as like a hobby to my hobby career. And so whenever I make all these vests and things, they're technically not the right shape. And so that's what's happened here. So with this project, you work in the round from the bottom. Like you start with the bottom trim, and then you work around, and then you split into like a front panel and a back panel and join it together. So I've already split here, but where I have done the split, I'm anticipating it is going to be way too low for where the sleeve hole is. So what I'm thinking is that I might actually frog this project down to that sleeve split and then just continue on from there. So for this project, I'm gonna say it's a half frog. Next up, we have this vest project here. This is a chunky yarn vest that I've been working on. I think it's the same pattern. I don't know if I've been following a pattern at this point because it's all pretty much the same. As you can see, it is this lovely kind of white, gray, charcoal mixed tones yarn. It is, as I said, a chunky weight yarn. I've got my big needles sitting in there. I think this one I'm actually going to continue on with because I haven't actually split for where the front and the back panel are. I can still just kind of reshape this into any shape that I want it to. If it's like an already started vest or even sweater, then that's a big bonus. So I don't really know what else I'll be making with this yarn. I really like making vests and sweaters, not that I've really finished many. And so I think I'm just going to continue on with that and then continue on with this project as well. So I can put this one to the side and happily know that I will probably pick it up at some point. Although the yarn is so tangled in here, that's a little bit nerve-wracking. Oh my god, this is so tangled in here. Oh god. This here is my next project. This was actually, I think, my first ever knit project, or the start of it. I actually got really far on this and it looks like I have frogged the majority of it. This was a raglan sweater, so as you can see, it is the collar and then I knitted down. I hated the fit of this. Like, the collar just ended up being way too big. I think I can just put it on now. You can kind of like, I put it there. You can imagine that once I put on the sleeves, it was just like stretching out over there. It did not look good. Like, this needs to be a tighter collar. That is so loose. Yeah, so this project I'm going to frog. There's nothing more to say about that. Oh, the colorway is, I think it's called Driftwood. It's really pretty. And this one's called Chestnut. Okay, so this here, this is a vest that I pretty much finished. I did the front panel, the back panel, everything like that. Looks great. The head hole, this is so tight. I could not figure out how to do like a proper tubular bind off. I think the sleeve holes were just like too low down. I also think it's not like wide enough and the yarn like really constricts around my body. It's just a very, very ill-fitting turnout and there's no need for me to even try continue on with this. This just needs to be frogged. The colorway is collard greens. Next up, we actually have the first sweater that I technically finished it. I mean, I didn't weave in the end, so maybe not. It's cute. It's nice. This is a raglan sweater, and once again, I think it just looked funny. I don't like the fit. I don't really wear it that often. I just think, I don't know. I mean, I put it on. It's not too bad. But oh, it's just this collar. I just hate the look of a collar hanging out like this far down and you can see your shirt underneath. Like, imagine if that collar was just kind of like up here a bit more. Like, even if it pulled down the shirt like a little bit. Like there. Imagine if the collar was there. It is not. Also, the sleeves are really short. It's technically a finished sweater. It just doesn't fit me well. So I'm going to frog this. Although I would love to recreate this in like a proper fit because this looks nice on me. Maybe I'll turn the other vest into this. Maybe. Okay, this looks like the last project that's in here. This is a panel of a sweater that I tried to design myself. So this is actually from my first trip to the US. I think the crochet retreat video that a lot of people saw us on, like from last year, there was actually like a retreat or a holiday altogether the year prior. So that was our second round last year. Will we do a third? I don't know, just wait and see. But what I tried to do was I tried to make like a very, very classic panel sweater. I tried to do a front panel, a back panel, join them together, put on sleeves. It's kind of got this fun textured stitch to it. I don't know if I can kind of, you can see that, right? Like, it looks cool. This was using up so much yarn and it was also very dense with the way it all turned out. This is definitely getting frogged. I already frogged half of it and used it to make that vest that didn't work. Not really opposed to frogging projects. I think it's a good idea if you're not gonna wear it. Like, I'm not wearing that sweater I made. I'm not wearing any of these things. What are they all doing in here? I may as well just repurpose the yarn for something else. Maybe I can make beanies, gloves, a nice scarf. It's all really good yarn as well. I think it's like a superwash merino. So I'm gonna do this one as well, and I might do that immediately too. So the vest, the sweater, and this one all getting frogged. Actually, all of them are getting frogged apart from those two vests that I started where one is being half frogged. Out of 6 projects, 4.5 froggings.
So that toe spool can immediately start hitting pretty hard.
Ooh. Just finished untangling that giant mess of many yarns in my bag. We ended up with like 3 nicely sized balls of yarn. What we also ended up with was a bunch of tiny balls of scrap yarns, which I don't even know if it's worth it, like tying them together and trying to make one cake. I might just leave these as tiny balls of scraps. Or maybe I'll try add them onto a cake. I don't know, I think they might just be better for like sewing pieces on or something. I don't know. Let's just put them to the side for now and think about that.
They can box and all something and pray that they're holding hands against widow.
So I ended up frogging about 3 of the whips that I had. I've still got this sweater here, but I ran out of time to do it. My housemate's gone to sleep, so I don't want to be like winding the yarn at night again, so I'm just going to stop here for now. But I still managed to get about 8 cakes out of all the projects there. But that's 8 like total cakes. I also have like a billion, as you saw, like a billion of these little scrap yarn balls. So I think I'm just gonna try wind them onto some of the cakes and just kind of like supersize them a little bit. So like this here is not really a cake. I mean, it is a cake, but it's just like such a small one. So I was thinking of just like winding all the green scraps onto there and having it as like the scrappy cake or something. I don't know. And then once that's like thick enough, then I'll count it as one to make proper cakes rather than a scrap ball. Yeah. Oh my god, also just before I clock off, people have been responding to my marketplace listing. Apparently someone is going to come by tomorrow morning and just pick up the entire amount, but to be honest, I can't tell if they're a scammer or not, so I'm just going to wait and see. If they were a non-sale, someone else has messaged me saying that they're willing just to pay the shipping and have it sent to them, so that solves the entire problem. Like if no one's gonna pick it up tomorrow, then I may as well just like ship it off to someone's willing to pay for the shipping. So yes. Good morning. And guess what? We sold all the yarn. Yay, so happy, so happy that the yarn is now going. I'm just gonna be packing it up over this weekend and then sending it out to its new happy home. So such a relief not to have to do so many like different separate orders and packings and things. It's such a time saver. I'm just over the moon about that. So yay. Now out of all the yarn that I still need to pack up and sell, I mean they're already in the bags, it's just those mill ends bags. So I'm just gonna list them online and then hopefully someone wants to take all of them. I don't know, so I'll do that sometime today. And apart from that, I'm just still winding yarns. I've got all the scrap yarns here that I was winding the other day, so I'm just gonna rewind them into like bigger balls of them, so they're not just like a bunch of little scrap balls all tumbling around in a bag or in a box or whatever. And then I found some more in the cupboards of those smaller scrap yarn balls, so I'm gonna wind those as well. And yeah, that'll be my morning. Woo! I did have a change of mind on winding up some of the skeins. Verbillion hanks, not skeins, sorry. Verbillion hanks just like sitting in my cupboard that I do want to wind up someday. I decided that I won't actually wind them up in this vlog just because I am looking for a new place to live. I'm just needing like a bigger room to put all my things. And if I was to move while everything is in cake form versus hank form, I think they might just tumble around and get tangled into each other, and it will actually be a lot more difficult rather than just packing them like this where they're actually nicely folded and tidy and won't get tangled with each other. So those ones I'm actually just going to leave as is, and I'm just going to continue winding up those little scrap yarns this morning. Yeah. Ta-da! So I ended up winding it all together and I've got about 5 cakes made out of all the scrap yarn. Check out this ball in particular. This is so scrappy. This is just so many little bits of yarn that are all tied together, and you can see all the tied like loose ends all hanging out. I'm gonna leave it like that just so I know that this is like the scrappy ball and I can probably use it for, I don't know, sewing or something that uses like a little bit less yarn. So I'm gonna leave it like that. This ugly, ugly little cake. Ugly! I also found in the cupboard these little scrap balls here as well, so I'm going to wind them all up. Included in those is also these 3 little swatches, and I'm just going to undo them too because this is from that same stitch pattern I was trying to do on that original jumper, and I just didn't finish it. So is this one, same thing. I don't know why I did it twice, for what reason. For some reason I felt like maybe the yarns would be slightly different, I don't know. And then I've got this little knitted swatch, but I made this so long ago, so maybe my tensions changed. There's no point in me having it. Let's undo it. And I'm counting these as 3 projects. I make the rules, okay?
Is one of her natural protective systems.
So I finally finished winding up all those cakes of yarn after many tangles and everything. A lot of these cakes were already made of like smaller lengths of yarn, and so as I was winding it, they just kept like unattaching, flying off, and then getting tangled in the winder, and I was just like, this is a nightmare. But we got there, so we have another 10 cakes of yarn to add to the overall total. And then I also have that sweater that I said I was gonna undo, as well as I really wanted to undo a cotton shirt that I have in my cupboard just because I just don't wear it, and I would rather just reuse those colors for something else. But to be honest, I'm so over winding yarns right now. I think at the start of this video, I was so inspired just to tidy everything and just get it all caked up, sort out all these just random projects flying around my cupboards and things, and I was like, I'm gonna tidy up everything and have it all neat and good to go. And it's just a lot of work and I've got other things to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this final project from the Happy Place yarn from TL Yarn Crafts. I'm just going to undo this, recake this one ball of it, and then we're going to do a final count because I just can't be bothered. I'm gonna have to come back and do a part 2. I'm so sorry. I feel like I had big intentions for this video, and it's just the reality here is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do a yarn destash and tidy up and everything, especially when you've got so many patterns to design and just work on, and I haven't crocheted for like 3 days and I just want to go crochet. Is that such a crime? I'm gonna wind that up and then I will return back shortly.
So it went really well. I also got all of the orders packed while we were on the live stream, so I don't know how to say any of this. Awesome, okay. And it is a style of ear warmer that looks very similar. Is there? Bye.
Da-da-da-da, the final cake. Just kidding, I found a ball of this ecru kind of color and I just wound that up too. So the final 2 cakes. So I'm gonna wrap up the vlog here. I will be back to probably unwind, destash some more yarns and things. Might be in a part 2, might just be filtered in among more of my vlogs. So if you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a like, a comment, and subscribe if you want to follow along my journey of just working through everything crochet, be it yarn, designing patterns, everything like that. And just before we get to the final totals of how many cakes we made, how many balls we wound, how many projects I frogged, and how many projects I saved, I just want to do a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, my Patreon. Hi Patreon, thank you for being here. As you can see right now, this lovely list of people here, all these names, check them out. They are the reason why I am able to bring you regular vlogs, regular videos, and just be a crochet artist. I am nothing without them. They are the reason why I'm able to afford my rent, able to afford my lunch, my dinner, able to sustain this lifestyle of being a crochet artist and being able to bring along these vlogs, being able to live off designing patterns, everything like that. I owe my life to them. So thank you so much to everyone over my Patreon. I have just got your votes in for the next month patterns, which I'm going to be doing in the next vlog. I've actually already started and they're looking really cute. I'm very, very excited to jump into those in the next vlog. So yes, a huge thank you to everyone over my Patreon. You are all beautiful, amazing, talented, wonderful people, and I love you all. Thank you. Let's get back to the final results. And yes, I did just change my tank because I have actually filmed this part, but I got all the numbers completely wrong because I forgot about the bucket hats that I frogged at the start of the video. So in total for cakes made, we made 72 cakes. Next up we had balls wound. We had 73 balls of cotton that we wound up into cakes. And then for the wools, it was a little bit harder to count because some of these were like random strands and things and just like, it was a bit messy, but I'm pretty sure we got about 17 balls of wool. So in total, we wound about 90 balls. Projects frogged. So I frogged 2 bucket hats and then I frogged three wool projects that I was half finished or had finished and was meaning to frog at some point in time. And then I frogged about 3 of the swatches that I made as well. I also frogged that Happy Place half started project. So in a total, that brought us to 9 projects frogged. Yay, repurposing yarn. And then for projects saved, we had 2 that I was definitely saving, which were those 2 knitted vests. One of them, which I said I was maybe going to frog a little bit of, but I'll get to that another time. And then one that I think I will just continue on because it's lovely and working up nicely. And then there was that bucket hat, which I just threw over there, as well as a knit sweater, which I think I'll come back to at some point in time. I will see that another day. And then I also mentioned a cotton shirt that I had made, which was like a rainbow one from years ago. And I just literally have not worn it. And I don't think I'll ever wear it. I think it's ugly and I don't want to wear it. So that one there as well technically was saved along with those other 2 I just mentioned, but we'll get there eventually. So those are the totals. Cakes made 72, balls wound 90, projects frogged 9, and projects saved 5. So if you were right with guessing your totals, congratulations, you win. A congratulations from me. And also if anyone else wants to go down into the comments, see if anyone guessed right and congratulate them too, then please do so. Let's just start celebrating. Why not? What else are we doing right now? And this will bring the vlog to an end. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I will come back soon enough with more yarn winding, more frogging things. I'm not too sure in what capacity. Maybe I'll do a part 2 of just sorting through my yarns and everything like that. If that's something you're all interested in, let me know in the comments below. This is my first time ever doing like a yarn destash video, so I hope it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will be back again very, very soon with some more crochet designing kind of things. Or maybe a tutorial if I don't film it in slow-mo this time. Regardless, I'll be back very soon with another video. So thank you so much for joining me today on this little vlog. And I will see you all again soon. Woo! This is the ending dance that I do at the end of every video. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. These are videos that you might be interested in watching. They're other videos by me. If you enjoyed watching vlogs and stuff by me. Yeah. And also for those who stayed this long, the reason why I changed my tank was because I spilled ramen on it. Yeah. Okay, bye.